Okay, so the fun part of this for me is the kickoff talk I gave earlier was something that I've thought a whole lot about and think I've sort of figured out. And this one is about stuff I'm just trying to think through now. So this is highly speculative talk about what I think is going on, but who the hell knows? I might be absolutely wrong on this. So I've, as the dean of the Rotman School, I've had a number of fantastic, outstanding full-time students do great at the school, outstanding, and go out and get fabulous jobs and come into my office 2 or 3 years later quitting their jobs. So I remember Elaine, I won't give last names, Elaine got a fantastic job with Goldman Sachs down in New York and came back about 2 years later and said, I'm quitting. And I said, sure, really? Do you have another job? No, I'm just quitting. And Pierre-Luc got a fantastic job at McKinsey and came and said he's quitting. A guy named Mike did it the same with Monitor. An epidemic of these best students. Jill, our gold medalist one year, went to McKinsey. 2 years later, I quit. And the reason they all gave me is, I don't know why I'm doing this. I do not know why I'm doing this, Roger, so I'm quitting. And what did they do? Mike went to become the head of strategy for our children's hospital. Jill entered our PhD program in strategy. Elaine went to a government-sponsored kind of high-tech incubator. So there's this epidemic, but it makes me extremely optimistic. Now, why would I be optimistic? Well, I'm optimistic in part because of actually something linked to something Johannes Weber said, which is when he looked forward to the positions he was going to get into that are held by those people 10 or 15 years ahead of him, he didn't want to be there. And so he went and did something cool, socially entrepreneurially. So the question is, what created the situation that those people that Johannes is looking at and these fantastic students are looking at that says, I don't want to be part of that? Where did that come from? And my argument is it came from the late 70s. It came from a very short period in the late 70s where a fundamental switch happened whereby a generation of folks got trained to say, if you have talent, your job is to extract as much cash for that talent as you possibly can. And it happened across a bunch of industries, talent-based industries. So in 1975, baseball players got free agent status, and that opened up massive salary increases for all professional athletes. In 1977, George Lucas got the film deal for Raiders of the Lost Ark on the back of his Star Wars mega super success, where he got 50% of gross profits on Raiders of the Lost Ark for zero investment. He was going to make the film for them. And Paramount said, boy, that's a lot of money. And after thinking about it, said yes. In 1978, Theodore Forstmann, invented the 2 and 20 formula for private equity compensation. And in 1976, it's been talked about before, Michael Jensen and Bill Meckling wrote the article that said CEOs have to be given stock-based compensation to align their interests, and you saw the charts that Rick put up earlier that was a result of that. That all happened in a very short period, and created, I believe, a context in which talented individuals said, that's the task. I'm talented. You should pay me as much as possible. And it became the newest, most important extractive industry in the world, for better or for worse. Now, you might ask, so how does that relate to the present? Well, it turns out that the folks who are running all of these companies now, right, the vast majority of them, who are in the sort of the 55 to 65 range, were in the 20 to 30 range when all of that was going to happen. And the thing about 20 to 30-year-olds is that they're exceedingly impressionable, right? They can get enthused and excited about things easily. This is one of the sad things, right? Most wars are fought, and most people who die in wars are 20 to 30 years old because they can be convinced to go off and do something. So actually, the people who are in charge of the economy now are the baby boomers who were 20 or 30 in the late 70s when these changes happened. And I think because they were baby boomers, and there were too many of them, and these were the ones who were stuffed in extra-sized classrooms and were competing for fewer scarce jobs, said, it is about me. And I now have legitimized the notion that I'm talent, and I will earn massive amounts on that. And I think that's a big piece of why we have the system that we have now, and why the very impressionable 20 to 30-year-olds today are looking at that system and saying, I'm not nuts about that system. I want to have meaning in my job. I want to do something to accomplish something, and I'm not buying into the, I want to maximize and extract the absolute, singularly maximum amount I can from the talent that I have and the talent that I've built up. And this is why I feel very confident that longing for meaning is going to save capitalism. And the cool thing to me is that generation, the 20-somethings generation, is building a different infrastructure for capitalism. They're building things like Kickstarter to start companies not on Wall Street, but with their friends and other interested people. So I think that and all sorts of forms of other social media, they're building an infrastructure for seeking meaning in their profession, and they're also saying, I don't mind hybrid things that lie somewhere between pure for-profit and not-for-profit social entrepreneurship and the like. And so I think we're going to get over the obsession that the generation that was influenced in the late 70s has exhibited, and we will have a wave of more meaning-intensive workers out in the workforce making great and wonderful things happen. So I'm a very optimistic and confident man because of the search for meaning in this young generation. Thank you.